Hey everybody, this is John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope. Operation Hope, for those of you who don't know, is America's first and largest nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the working class, the struggling class, the teetering class, those with too much month at the end of their money. I'm also the author of several books, going on my fourth, writing my fourth now, two of which are bestsellers. Today I'm coming at you straight. That is uncomfortable but shouldn't be. As you're signing on, I will try to acknowledge you. So it looks like we've got a little bit of slow connection, but I'm going to keep broadcasting, and you tell me whether there's an issue. Hello, Syed from Morocco, as you sign on. So if you watch the news, you think that there's a real war going on in America. Hey, Cedric, signing on. You think there's a real war going on in America between black and white. There's a war going on. It's not between black and white, but it involves black and white, and yellow, and brown. Hey, Le Fashion in the house. How you doing? Hello, good afternoon, Karen Levette. We've got more than 10 million viewers from around the world, going to 11 million viewers, and as they sign on, I try to acknowledge many of them. Hello, Johnny Chandler. And I will weigh in on comments after the video is done. This crisis that we have going on right now is a bit of a mirage. Let me explain what I mean. My friend Jim Clifton talks about in the coming jobs war, the real war, that there'll be $200 trillion of GDP in the world by the year 2040, 2045. It's also the year 2045, and projected that whites will be the minority for the first time in U.S. history. Now, that's not the topic, but that's the backdrop. That's part of our insecurity. That's part of why we can't get along. There's a cancer underneath the conversation that nobody's talking about. We're not discussing the fact that disease has a large part to do with dis-ease. And so we mask the problem, and we blame people. Hello, Atlanta needs you to speak. That's Michael Thomas. I'm here in Atlanta, Michael, just so you know. Welfare. Let me deal with this topic head on. Welfare has been used politically and spiritually and emotionally and disruptively against African Americans in particular. Let me give a little context. The education is the key, absolutely. Disease, exactly. That's Sheila Allen. Welfare came from back in the Roman emperor. The first Roman emperor actually created what we now know as welfare. And it was viewed as a good thing, taking public houses for health, public houses for the elderly, people who couldn't take care of themselves, the infirm, and so on and so forth. Whites are already the minority in the U.S. They are not, and we should not take any pleasure, by the way, in that statement. There's nothing positive about any thing that is degrade somebody else. That's not true, by the way. It's just not true. There are 200 million whites in this country of a population of about 350 million, give or take. But that's not the point. That's the backstory. So as we look at history, you had Europeans that took on welfare. The Chinese took on a form of welfare. This is, again, not this thing about taking care of somebody who's lazy, but taking care of somebody who literally can't take care of themselves. Your grandmother who's out of the workforce, children, those who need, the disabled, those who've been in the military battle and need our support and our care. This video is not about welfare, by the way, either. I'm giving some context. And then you have our Islamic brothers and sisters, I'm talking about the majority of the Islamic world that ain't involved in terrorism, which is what unfortunately people have been sold, but most of them involved in Islam are just peace-going people. They have something called zakat, which is their form of charity or welfare assistance, which is almost government mandated. I think in fact in many cases it is government mandated that a portion of your revenue goes to the poor. Most folks don't know that story. And then the U.S. got welfare as adopted through Great Britain before our independence, which means that was Caucasian welfare. Let's now fast forward to the Great Depression, around the 1920s. There was a great deal of welfare then. That was Caucasian. It was a majority Caucasian nation. That was also agricultural based mostly. It was food stamps. It was helping a single mother whose husband, unfortunately, has been killed in some way or taken out of their house, so that the breadwinner was no longer there, assuming it was a man. And then you have, after the Great Depression, a move towards welfare to work, toward jobs, right? And so let's now fast forward to today. So today you still have, on an aggregate basis, you could argue more whites on welfare than anybody else, depending if you're looking at food stamps or whatever. But I'm not here to play games with numbers. There's about 27 million, give or take, of whites on welfare. That's 13, 14% of the white population, based on the last census data. You have about, on the African American population, you have approaching 50% of African Americans receiving some form of welfare. Actually, I think the number is much higher than that, but I don't want to cite it on air without having the facts in the tip of my head. It's a very large number as a relation to the 30 to 35 million African Americans. Let's just call that, 15 to 20 million. It's just too large, right? You have Hispanics, 30 million plus, 30% plus of Hispanics are on welfare. That number is just too large. By the way, our Asian brothers and sisters have a very small percentage of their populations that are on any form of public assistance. And this includes Medicaid, includes TANF, includes cash disbursements, housing assistance, all that kind of stuff. None of that's the story. That's the backstory. So I wrote a book called Love Leadership, The New Way of Leading a Fear-Based World. And I said there's two things in the world, there's love and there's fear. And what you don't love, you fear. And the reason this world is all screwed up is that most of our so-called leaders have been leading by fear. What happened after the Great Depression? What happened before World War II was that there was an economic crisis in Germany. This is another video for another time. But nobody had a problem with our Jewish brothers and sisters until the economics fell apart in Germany. And then all of a sudden they started getting picked on. My point is that economic strain preceded racial strain. And that caused the destruction. Big boy, what's happening? That's Kevin Woods, hello. And the needless and horrendous death of 6 million Jews by a man named Hitler. You fast forward to almost any crisis in world history, and you'll find economics played a very powerful role in the racial strife. What's going on in South Africa right now? They say, oh, this is racial strife. It's not racial strife, it's economics. You have 50 million plus people in South Africa and about 5 million taxpayers. Okay? That's not complicated, right? You come here to America and you have more poor whites than poor anybody else in this country. But now you got poor whites and poor blacks fighting with each other. By the way, where the Klan come from? The Klan was promoted, as a whole other story I don't have time for, but the Klan, the Rough Riders, came really out of certain interests trying to get the 40 acres and mules and other things, getting blacks off the land, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that was economics. That was back in the 1800s. There's another video for another time. The modern Klan was promoted by the White Citizens Council, business leaders, not very good ones, not honorable ones, bad capitalism, who were afraid that blacks were going to take their stuff in the South because they were outnumbered. So once again, you have uneducated whites being sent off against uneducated blacks, and now blacks and whites are beating each other up needlessly, and folks with resources just stepping back and letting you do it. All right. Let me now fast forward to today. You've got all these problems in America, but let's look at where they're coming from. You have basically a person running for president who would not want to go to dinner with the people that are supporting him. You've got a person running for president who couldn't have more in common with the people, his largest base of support. I actually understand his base of support. There are a lot of poor, white, rural, mostly high school educated males who used to have a middle class income on their blue collar skills. They're finding the economy in their small towns are dying. We've ignored them for 50 years, and they're pissed, and they have a right to be pissed. And we should have done more to revitalize those small towns, because small towns are the heart of this country. And so blacks and browns in urban America have a spokesman. Now white, rural, poor America have a spokesman. That's what's going on. This is economic. And so this thing of poor whites and poor blacks battling against each other is wrong-headed. It'll win a battle, it'll lose a war, it'll never win, it has never won. By the way, all this is Islamic extremism and there's never been a radical movement of extremism in the history of the world that has succeeded. You check the facts, and I can help you fact check if you like. But all these movements, they come, they create all this drama, they make you emotional, they make you angry, they get a couple short-term, we want to call them wins, but they don't help make your life any better. They're not helping you get a job. They're not helping you raise your children. They're not helping you become a homeowner. They're not helping you live your dream. So there's a lot of controversy every week. There's something on TV, racial, this, the flag, blah, blah, blah. None of that's helping you drive your life forward. They say the credit card bubble is going to pop before 2017. What's your take on this? I'll talk about that another time, Peter. This is very simple. We've got to figure out what you are mixing up the points, issues. No, I'm not. I'm just, I have a big brain and I'm covering a lot of ground. I'm trying to focus you on the one thing I'm talking about, which is economics. It's all economics. It's the same topic. What I'm saying is that whites and blacks need to come together on the one thing that will save this boat. Understand this. The ship is sinking. The Titanic is sinking and we're all picking drapes. Did you get that point? The Titanic is sinking, and all of us are picking drapes. Okay, let me put it to you another way. You can take no pleasure from the fact there's a hole in my end of our boat. So if you're a white American and you are rooting for black, you are rooting for your own failure. If you are a black American, you're rooting for a white American or anybody else's failure, you are rooting for your own failure. There are other nations in this world just waiting for America to step off the stage, trip and fall, screw up this dream, this magic sauce we created, and we're well on our way to screwing it up, and I'm going to do my part to reset it. That's what the civil rights movement is about. Is that clear enough for you? We got to 2045, folks. Global GDP right now, gross domestic product, is about $65 trillion. America's still the largest economy in the world. Don't let anybody tell you we're not. But by 2045, global GDP, gross domestic product, will be $200 trillion. The only question, to quote my friend Jim Clifton, CEO of Gallup, in the book, The Coming Jobs War, which you need to read that book and read the book, How the Poor Can Save Capitalism. Preach, brother, Damien, thank you. Jim Clifton said in The Coming Jobs War, the only question is, would you have $200 trillion of GDP by 2045 and $65 trillion of global GDP today? And America's the largest economy in the world today, a quarter of the global economy, $17 trillion, give or take. The only question is who's going to get the other $140 trillion? Let me give you another drop the mic moment. There's never been a global leader that wasn't an economic leader. I'm going to say it again. When are you leading a march? This is a march. It's a march for civil rights in the suites, not civil rights in the streets. Sandra, yes, absolutely. I said your name wrong. I'm sorry if I said the screen. This is an economic issue, folks. You have economics from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. This is what my next book is about. And I think you're going to enjoy it, but it's very counterintuitive. But it's just a radical movement of common sense. We are winning the battle. Just sitting around waiting for us to screw this thing up, and we're doing a great job of pretending to screw it up, working at screwing it up, almost screwing it up by being neighbor against neighbor, block against block, city against city, race against race. Why did Atlanta win? Because Andrew Young figured out the color was green. He created the only international city in the South. Hello. And before him, Maynard Jackson helped to create a black wealth so that you had some girth and could create some jobs, right? And that they didn't argue here over white or black or red or brown or yellow. It was quite a question of how much green can everybody get. The color was green. That's why Atlanta worked. That's why Atlanta still works, right? That's why it's the only international city in the South and the 8th largest economy in the country. It's because we figured out what was important. And if we don't continue to reset that here in Atlanta, we can screw that up here too. Back to the national agenda, back to the global agenda. We need $140 trillion of GDP, folks. Let there be no division amongst us. 1 Corinthians. God bless you, Ken Harmon. It's appropriate for Sunday, by the way. So the world needs value for value. That's Anthony Howard. The world needs, the world will demand, let me say that, $200 trillion in global GDP by 2045. The question, so then you've got this issue of, you know, a majority of this population is going to be non-white by 2045. But if the majority, if we keep on with these numbers and the majority of black people are on welfare, the good portion of Latinos are on welfare, I mean, blah, 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 and that's the increasing population. What are you celebrating for? What are you celebrating for? And this is not a pro-white statement. This is a pro-common sense statement. If they got the memo and you didn't on free enterprise and capitalism and how to create jobs, economics, and ownership, and if you're them, wouldn't you be pissed too if you think that there's a growing population of people who they're not creating jobs, not creating an opportunity, not creating entrepreneurship? Now, they're responding in the wrong way. A lot of folks are responding in a understand their fear, right? So fear is a horrible thing, and it leads to nothing productive. Like, do understand their fear. They're like, who's in charge of the boat? So we need to all be in the boat. We need to make sure everybody's rowing the boat. You need to listen to what Dr. King said when he said that no one can ride your back unless you're bent over. Straighten your back up. Let's stop being angry. Let's stop being emotional. Don't get mad, get even. And the best success is living well. My friend Jeevan, my publisher, reminded me of that. So I want you to live well. Don't hit somebody with a brick. Hit them with your wallet and knock them out. The problem in these neighborhoods is poverty. The problem in America is poverty. That's why poor whites are angry. That's why poor blacks are angry, because they're poor. That's why they're angry. Charles Williams says true. So let me drop the mic and get off the stage. The setup for this is $200 trillion. Trillion GDP, $140 trillion in GDP will be claimed by someone. We got to reinvent and reimagine ourselves. Who's getting 140 trillion? That's the only question. Who's getting 140 trillion? And let me drop the mic for you again. Whoever gets $140 trillion in the next 30 or so. That is not a foregone conclusion. China's got, Beyonce said it best, the best revenge. They've got a huge military budget, but most of it's spent for internal security, not external security. Not concerned about us, they're concerned about their own borders. I love China. We need China to succeed. China's got, you know, it's getting a little arrogant, a little cocky. And Ambassador Young always told me men fail for 3 reasons, and women, and it's pride, it's greed, pride, and shame, or pride, greed, and shame. No, pride, greed, and arrogance. Yeah, arrogance, pride, and greed is why men and women fail. 3 reasons why men and women fail: arrogance, pride, and greed. Arrogance, pride, and greed. So. It's breaking up a bit. It'll be clear on replay. I apologize for that. I'm almost finished. So don't worry about somebody else. Don't be jamming up somebody else. Don't be focusing all your energy on racism and who's trying to keep you down. Focus your energy on your success, on your life, on the plan for your life. You only have so much energy in a day. Don't disperse all of it on negative stuff. None of it's going to end well, I guarantee you. We need to be focused on being one nation. If you're watching this in America. By the way, if you're in South Africa watching this, you should try to be the leader of the world in 2045, and you should be trying to claim that $200 trillion in GDP, or the 140 trillion that's not claimed yet, through additional growth. If you're in China, you should be trying. If you're in Zimbabwe, you should be trying. If you're in Nigeria, you should be trying. If you're in Australia, you should be trying. Wherever you are in the world, you should be trying. If you're in Mexico, you should be trying. Fair exchange is no robbery, to quote my friend Rod McGrew. I ain't mad at nobody. I'm not mad at anybody who gets up in the morning, puts their boots on, puts their shoulder against the wall and said, I want to claim mine. I'm not mad at you because somebody else could have did it. You just lazy. Don't be mad at somebody else if they did it and you don't. Don't mad if somebody comes to your community and they succeed and you don't. Get mad at it. Don't get mad at them. I want you to get even. I want you to live well. Here's the final comment. How do we get there? You need about 1 million startups a year. Startup businesses to grow an economy and reduce unemployment and solve these problems in our neighborhoods because all jobs come from small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, and shoot-ups in year 3 through year 7. I did a bunch of other videos on where, did I do a video on where jobs come from? If I didn't, let me know if you want me to do it. I'll break it down with a chart. But the short version is that all jobs come not from where you think. It's not big business. They're not hiring folks. It's small businesses, entrepreneurs, and shoot-ups. For the first time in modern history, we have more small business deaths than small business births. Hello, did you hear that? Census says there's 400,000 small business births and there's 450,000 small business. We need another 600,000 small business startups, folks. I'm looking at you because you're living a moment in history right now. And all all wealth came from poor people. Pickup truck in the storefront. Hello. UPS was Jet Magazine was Johnson, Robert Johnson, with a $500 loan from his mother. Hello. I can go on and on and on. Operation Hope came from a big dream in his head who said, I will never, ever, ever be denied. And you fail, because even if you fail, you fall forward. You may not be an entrepreneur, but it will toughen you up. It'll make you resilient. It'll help you get over it, around and through it. It'll teach entrepreneurship, teach you working for the government or working for somebody else or working in a dentist's office, but you will never forget your entrepreneurial. Get a job or create a job, and boom, we just saved America. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a new fight, and that's black and white together. Drop the mic. I'm out, and I'll talk to you later. Peace and light. This is Civil Rights, unbossed, unbiased, coming to you with straight and no chaser, with no agenda other than your uplift. 11 million viewers, I think that's the number, something over 10 million to date. Thank you for the 100,000 plus likes. We're approaching 110 on the Facebook page. Please encourage everybody to go to operationhope.org for our civil rights agenda, coming to a neighborhood through you, Project 5117. Look that up. Please encourage folks to go to johnhopebryant.com, which is my blog, but more specifically the Facebook Live series for John Hope Bryant Live on Facebook, and sign up to the movement.